Good morning, Bethel. How we doing? Christy's here, so we're going to be sharing this morning. You guys already met her a minute ago with the hoarding tendencies.
Do you think I do?
Maybe you should go in the attic and see if you can find your boxes.
I need those boxes.
I doubt it.
I'm going to clean out the closet, and when I do, I need those
I'll
boxes.
get you some plastic ones or something.
Oh, my word.
But this morning we are excited to share a little bit about not only what God has done, but also what he's doing. And I asked Christy to join me this morning. We're going to take kind of a reflection. This is a new series that we're starting today called Go. And it's the vision of God. God is a missionary God. And when we think missions, we think a lot of international, maybe mud huts in Africa or Central America, South America. But God being a missionary God, he always is going and always calling us to himself. And as parents, grandparents, as family, we have an opportunity, as Derek said, bringing, as our liturgy, praying, we have an opportunity to impact the generation that's coming after us as we share our faith. There was a time in our history here in the United States where faith was so private that parents didn't tell their kids about their belief. And so when kids grew up and then parents would pass away, the kids didn't know their story, like if they knew Jesus or not. And so we always encourage you as parents, as grandparents, old and young, always share what God has done in your life, because you don't want your kids sitting around a memorial service wondering where you are or what decisions you made in life. So today we're going to reflect a little bit. Christy and I are going to talk about a trip we made this week. Very briefly, it's not going to take much time. And then we want to reflect on and kind of the long journey that God has taken us on. We're privileged to be here at Bethel. It's an honor to be your pastor. We came 10 and a half years ago, and God has just done some incredible work through Bethel. Christy has a longer history at Bethel. She grew up here. And so she, as a child, remembers the faith of the elder that were here, and we're excited to continue that generational impact at Bethel. So tell us a little bit about where we went, and we got some pictures just for you to glance at, and kind of our trip this last week.
Okay. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Compassion International, and if you've ever been to maybe a Christian concert or a Christian event, this is where they hand out pictures of kids and they say, "Would you like to sponsor a child?" That's what it is. So you may or may not have heard of it. And we've sponsored a child since Lily was 3. We found a little girl her same age. So that's all we've known about the ministry, is that we sent support to a little girl. We communicated back and forth with her through letters. Ray met someone earlier last year, a couple of years ago, and they were looking for pastors to understand the ministry more deeply, and so we can come and share it with you guys. And so we got invited on this trip, and we're like, wow, this is a free trip. Like, this doesn't seem right. But so we got to go to the Dominican Republic this week, Monday to Friday. And when we were there, we got to visit. So the idea we're not
Christy dancing.
Well, yeah, that's me. This little girl was frustrated with my rhythm, I'm sure. This was a welcome party. We arrived at a center, and we just were dancing and having fun. But the idea behind Compassion is that you support a child, which this goes to a center, which is always connected to a church in the area. And they're in very impoverished areas. And what this does is the kid can go to the center and they can eat meals. They can get education. And then they also learn about Jesus. They can learn English. They have this whole program called, a new program called Survivor Program. Well, I guess it's 7 years old. And it helps moms, pregnant moms, and with infants. The statistics are amazing. We'll talk about it another day. But just what they've done, giving basic care to pregnant moms and infants, the mortality rate has gone like 0.002. It's amazing. But what we want to challenge you guys with today, as far as Compassion International, is Ray and I were very impressed with the organization. We felt like they have worked really hard to come up with a plan to do this well and to bring kids not only out of poverty, but the director talked to us and said, how sad would it be to fill a belly and to give them education and they go to hell? So their main focus is Jesus. Yes, they want to fill their bellies. Yes, they want to teach them, but they also want them to learn about Jesus and give them that opportunity. And so there's a thing called a Compassion Day, and we are going to ask you to pray about that. This is something we'd like to do in the fall, and this is when they'll send a team, and they will tell us all about Compassion International and how we can be involved in a church. And Ray and I, after seeing it this week, were like, it's a shame if we don't let Bethel have the opportunity to see this. And so if you guys can be praying, it'll probably be in the fall, right? We don't have a date yet. But if you guys can be praying, if that's what God wants you to be a part of, something, I think our church could do something amazing in some part of the world to give kids a chance.
Yeah, just out of poverty. One of the stories, we got to go do some home visits, and we just showed up unannounced to these homes, and this teenage girl, 16, and her mom. Her mom's Haitian. The girl, I think, is Dominican Haitian.
I wasn't really sure about that.
But she's a sponsored kid and has been for years, since she was a little one. And one of the questions we asked is like, what are you hoping and dreaming? Because if you're in poverty, extreme poverty, is you're not really thinking about other than your next meal and kind of where you're gonna, how your family's going to be. You're not really thinking beyond that.
And as adults, the adults, it's like they don't really dream about much. They don't have many hopes. Yeah. And so that's one thing they ask the kids.
So we said, so what do you want to do with your life? And she mentioned really quickly, she goes, I want to study nursing, not just nursing, but neonatal care. Pediatric. And it was really interesting to watch almost a dream come alive, just because education, food, and stability in their home was a beautiful thing. Another little boy that we met, he was 5.
I think he was 7.
7. Yeah,
he was a little guy.
And I asked him, I said, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And he goes, I want to play ball. Well, we think ball, basketball, football, whatever, but it's baseball. Dominican, if you know anything about sports, Dominican is a big baseball producer. And so one of the other team members said, hey, what's your favorite team? And his dad said, well, he doesn't even know there's teams. When he says he wants to play ball, it's because that's when he and I go outside and play ball.
He said, when I grow up, I want to play baseball with my dad.
That's what he wants to do when he grows up.
And I was like, all right, good job, Dad. I was like, oh, goodness.
Catch and throw and hit the ball. And so it's really fun to see Christ take root in these families' lives. And it's generational. I want to read a verse to you that's in Joel chapter 1. When I was there, I was reflecting on kind of what Scripture tells us from the beginning. And so Joel chapter 1 just says this: tell your children about it in the years to come, and let your children tell their children. Pass the story down from generation to generation. This is the redemption of God, the story of God. And so as we recite our liturgies, as we talk about the Word of God, what we're doing in our own lives is modeling to our kids that they can know God. And we need to pass it on and not be quiet about it. Pass it on generation to generation. Go ahead.
Has Compassion been going on for like 70 years?
Yeah, it was right after World War II.
A long time. And so here was one of the coolest parts of our trips is, so we had a group of young people, early 20s, that were our translators. And the last night, 4 of them went forward, and they were Compassion kids that were sponsored through the program. And they gave their testimonies on how Compassion, being a kid that was sponsored and receiving these letters from people. One guy shared that it's the only encouragement he ever got in his whole life. She's like, hey, I was thinking of you today. And he's like, no one's ever told me they were thinking about me before this lady in Michigan told me she was thinking about me. And then,
Michigan.
Yeah. And then just like, it was almost like a discipleship opportunity for this lady, this single woman in Michigan who wrote to this boy, and now he's the director of Compassion Dominican Republic. But these 4 testimonies of what it had done in their lives, it was really cool to be on this side and be able to see adults that benefited from that.
Yeah, and as many of you know, Christy and I served in Central America as missionaries before coming to Yukon, and my parents are here. They served there for, I don't know, ever 30 plus years, and sometimes when you're in the middle of ministry,
Ray was real excited back there.
Yeah, I'm back there raising, where am I at? Oh, yeah, over there, yeah. So they didn't tell me they were taking a picture. The last picture is Christy and I walking down the street.
We didn't even.
You can scroll through them, Cassandra, thank you. But we had a great time with the kids. But when you're in the middle of ministry, and even if you're working with our kids here at Bethel Kids, sometimes when you're changing a diaper or when you're chasing a toddler or you're getting on to a tween, sometimes in that moment, you just see the moment instead of the trajectory. And I said this a few weeks ago when we were dedicating babies. It was like 11 years ago. I mean, little Mason, I call him Mason. He was one of the first babies that I dedicated, and now he's grown up. He's in the kids ministry, and it's this long process that you don't get to see in the moment. So you're changing a diaper. Next thing you know, they're a tween. Next thing you know, they're a young adult, and it's interesting. So when Christy and I were a few weeks ago, this kind of came to my mind. I talked to the staff about it, and I was like, hey, maybe we should reflect a little bit about what God has done. One of the benefits of being a missionary is you send reports back home. You kind of send information. And I wish we did that here, because if we could have videos or pictures that we could go back and look to see what God has done, it kind of changes the trajectory of your thinking and your imagination. To work with kids, it takes a lot of imagination, not only on your part, but to capture the kids' imagination. And I remember way back in 2006 when we started a small Bible study in a home. All the kids were in a room, and by the end of 3 months, that room was so full of kids, we would shut them in to do the Bible study, and when we would open the door, a big old gust of air blah, would come out of the room, hot, sweaty. Chrissy come out sweating, and those little kids now in 2026 are in their late 20s serving the church, and it's mind-boggling. It's really emotional. So
It's a definite fire hazard,
yeah,
for sure.
Well, we're not supposed to share that stuff.
Oh, I don't think they have fire
it's third
hazards
world,
in Costa Rica.
international, things are different there.
But there wasn't enough room to sit, so they lined up in lines and colored on each other's back with their paper.
Christy's going to read a psalm for us.
Oh, there we are, walking away. Real cool story. We don't have any pictures of it, but this was this man, the second center we visited. I don't know how much property, tons, and it was a cacao, like cocoa plantation, and he uses that now to support the center. But years ago, he produced cigars or cigarettes, tobacco, and he had a big alcohol. Like he sold and produced alcohol and cigarettes. And when he became a believer, he kept doing that. And then one day he was really convicted. He read in the newspaper about some deaths related to alcohol, and he felt really convicted that some of that was his fault. And so at that point, he was very successful man.
He told us he was making $20,000 a month. And I'm like, dude, you were like the king here.
Is that like dollars?
Dollars.
Okay. And so anyways, he stopped doing all of that. And he decided to start this school for children, and now they have the center, and they have 300 kids, I think, that come. And we walked over this cacao plantation, and they now produce that and sell the cacao and
chocolate.
And chocolate. They like produce it into things, and they sell that to support the school. So it was very cool to see. Okay, what am I doing?
Psalm.
Okay. Where's it at? Okay. Oh, my people, listen to my instructions. Open your ears to what I am saying, for I will speak to you in a parable. I will teach you hidden lessons from our past, stories we have heard and known, stories our ancestors handed down to us. We will not hide these truths from our children. We will tell the next generation about the glorious deeds of the Lord, about his power and his mighty wonders. For he issued his laws to Jacob. He gave his instructions to Israel. He commanded our ancestors to teach them to their children, so the next generation might know them, even the children not yet born, and they in turn will teach their own children. So each generation should set its hope anew on God, not forgetting his glorious miracles and obeying his commands. They will not be like their ancestors, stubborn, rebellious, and unfaithful, refusing to give their hearts to God.
As a moment of confession before we continue.
Uh-oh.
Anybody have a rebellious or stubborn heart? I got my hand up.
Is Teresa's hand up? Is she here?
There.
Oh, I thought we were confessing for others. Oh.
That's personal confession.
Oh, okay.
The psalmist is writing to remind us that although we might have a stubborn heart, and as we've met God and seen his wondrous things, we need to pass it on to our kids and kids that we're not even born yet. For 2,000 years, the good news of Jesus has been handed generation to generation. And for 2,000 years, we've been declaring the goodness of God. So not only generational families, but also those that are lost, that are found through generational telling of God's wondrous works. May we never forget, and may we never stop telling the good things that God has done in our lives. Because our hope is just like the end of that verse 8, is that their hearts would be fully given to God. I think about my parents and the decisions they've made. I think about the decisions I've made. And then I think about my kids. And I'm like, every generation will have its own struggle, but will their generation be able to overcome things that we weren't able to overcome? And it's all going to happen when we give them, dedicate them, when we let God meet them and they can experience Him. I want to show you guys a video. We don't do this ever. Yeah, we're going to move. I'm going to show you a video. This video is 12 years old, maybe a little more. And it's a video that Christy and we didn't know this was going to be our last video, but this was a video we shared with churches that supported us as missionaries. And it was a reflection on changed lives. And so I wanted you to watch this video, then we're going to talk about it just for a minute. I'm going to move this out of the way.
Our ministry in Costa Rica started like a blank canvas. We had dreams of seeing people come to Christ and churches being established to proclaim the good news of Christ. As the ministry took shape, it was amazing to see God take people in their pain, chaos, and darkness and completely change their lives, giving them healing, peace, and hope.
Hi, we're the Roten family. I'm Ray.
I'm Christy.
I'm Lily. And Max.
And we serve in Costa Rica, Central America. When we came here in 2003, we prayed that God would use us to see changed lives. Over the past 12 years, we have seen God move in incredible ways in the lives of people of Central America. By creating Vida Ministries, God has opened the doors for us to work not only in Costa Rica, but have a part in church planning and ministry development in Panama, the Kuna Islands, Ecuador, Nicaragua, and Honduras. We have seen thousands of people come to Christ, churches established, and countless changed lives. We'd like to share some of these changed lives with you.
Andrea was one of the first teens to visit our church. She accepted Christ, was baptized, and then began serving in our church. Over the past 7 years, God has used Andrea to impact children, young people, and ladies in our ministry. She began dating Daniel, a young man from our church, and they were married this past year. They are now serving together in the ministry, and God continues to use them as a couple to see changed lives. They have expressed a desire for full-time ministry and are open to wherever God leads them.
We are changed.
We met Esteban during the initial stages of our church plant. He was a typical person who worked for the weekends, focusing on what the world had to offer. While bringing his daughter to our weekly Bible study, God slowly began to soften his heart. When he met Christ, his life could never be the same. He began to grow and learn. He began serving in our small group ministry and leading our youth group. We licensed him as a pastor this last year, and we're taking steps to train him for full-time ministry.
Somos vidas cambiadas.
Gustavo was invited by a friend to our weekly teen meeting. He gave his life to Christ and soon became a faithful leader. He is now a leader in the youth department, works with sound and multimedia, and serves in the children's ministry. He graduates from high school this year and is seeking God's will as he starts at the university.
I am changed.
Please pray that these, as well as many others, will stay faithful to God's leading during these transitional years.
I'm changed.
Gracias. God has blessed our ministry with several facilities that we're able to use for changed lives. We have adult Bible studies, teen group, children's Bible clubs, ladies' Bible studies, men's Bible studies, camps, Bible school, leadership training, discipleship, and counseling.
We work with Randy and Sherry Roten, along with Jonathan and Sarah Robertson, and together we form Vida Ministries Costa Rica. We can't wait to see what God has planned next. We're excited to see more changed lives.
I am changed.
Gracias.
¡Gracias!
He cambiado.
Hemos cambiado.
I am changed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias.
I am changed.
Gracias.
He cambiado. Gracias.
Gracias. Yo he cambiado.
I am changed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
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 Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you.
Well, I haven't seen that in over 10 years. That was a little emotional, little blast from the past. It was good and sad at the same time. A lot of those faces are no longer with us, like in our ministry there. But
Yeah, amazing
so
to
many
reflect
good things.
back on just the time we spent in Central America, and then the three that we highlighted. Fascinating to see the journey that God has taken them on. Some of those little kids are teenagers,
Yeah.
young adults, and just it's an interesting reflection. Esteban, the second guy that we highlighted, he pastors the church there now. He has been pastoring for 10 years and done a phenomenal job. Actually, I think he's done better than we did ever as pastors there. Very wise. I talk to him every week. He has a wisdom from God that only God can give. He has a fourth grade education, but he might be the smartest guy that I know, the wisest guy I know. And now he leads the church there in Costa Rica and Tres Rios. And some of you guys went on the mission trip, got to meet him and his family. And those little kids are now adults, and it's pretty cool. Nati's about to get engaged, so Christy prophesied over them when she was there
A few
2
years ago, maybe a little bit.
And
I'm
she
like,
goes,
hey,
"That
what about
guy."
what about him? And she's like, no.
But now they're serious and gonna get married. Pretty cool. The second couple, the first couple, Andrea, she was the first teenager, 12 years old, came to our student ministry when we first started students. And Donnie came later. He's an 80s rocker. He's incredibly talented, writes songs and plays music. And when they came together, he's about 8 years older than she is. And I was
So
like,
we were
you
like,
stay away, dude. I was like, you find somebody else. Well, one of our friends said, you're not getting any younger. You're about to turn 30. You're going to lose all your hair, and you're going to get fat. So you better just chase this girl and make it happen. So anyway, long story.
We were out of the country when
Yeah,
that
we were
happened.
gone at that time. But in 2014, December, they got married. We got to be there for that, and that was awesome. A cool thing to experience with them. Well, now, fast forward, God has sent them to Mexico out of the church there. 2 years ago, Christy and I, we went together. We helped them start a ministry. Now it's a full-fledged church tied to the church in Costa Rica, also tied to Bethel. Bethel supports them every month. And to see 12 years later how God has taken a life, transplanted them to another country, and that the gospel would continue. And they have stories of their own of just changed lives. And this verse in Mark struck me a few weeks ago as I was reading it, and I want to read it to you because there's a mystery that happens in planting and sowing. So it says, Jesus also said, the kingdom of our God is like a farmer who scatters seed on the ground. The night and day, while he's asleep or awake, while the seed sprouts and grows, but he does not understand how it happens. There's a mystery in the planting. There's a mystery in the watering. There's something happening under the surface that you just don't know. The earth produces the crops on its own. First, a leaf blade pushes through, and the head of wheat are formed, and finally the grain ripens. And as soon as the grain is ready, the farmer comes and harvests it with a sickle, for the harvest time has come. Jesus told his disciples, pray to the Lord of the harvest, because you look out, and it's ready. And it's just a matter of us saying yes. It's a matter of us opening our mouths and sharing the good news of Jesus to our kids and grandkids. We should have not brought this back up. I want to show you one more video, and this is from Danielle and Andrea in Mexico. Never been seen before till today. I hadn't even watched it, and so we'll watch it together. They put a video together of changed lives and what God's doing with them in Mexico.
Hi everyone, my name is Danny.
I'm Andrea, and we are the Soto family. Thank you for taking a moment to hear our story and what God has placed in our hearts.
We've been missionaries for 9 years now, and 3 years ago we started Comunidad Vida, a church for people who don't really want church.
Our heart is simple. We want to people know Jesus. No extras, no religion, just Jesus. We often say it's all about Jesus without any extra ingredients.
Our ministry is based here in Orizaba, Veracruz, Mexico. This is a place where traditions hold tremendous power. People deeply love images, customs, and religious practice, often more than they love Jesus himself. And this reality doesn't exist only outside the church.
For many years, even the evangelical church has been embraced traditions that quietly take the place that belongs only to Christ. Many love their traditions more than they love Jesus. Because of this, we believe our ministry is necessary and urgent. People here don't need more religion. They don't need more traditions. They need Jesus. Our calling is to point people back to Christ alone, to help them know Him personally, walk with Him daily, and discover God's will through His words.
As we follow God's call to serve in Orizaba, we invite you to stand with us, and if God leads you, consider partnering with us financially.
Your support allows us to remain out the field and to keep pointing people back to Jesus. Thank you for listening and considering walking this journey with us.
God bless you. Pura vida.
Oh, that was so good. And their English was so good. They did such a good job. It's like a proud parent moment right
Yeah,
there.
pretty interesting, huh?
It's super cool watching them grow up in age and faith. And
We got to go see them. I've been there that one time, and then I've met them at the airport another time. One thing they're doing this week actually is they signed a new lease on a building so that they could expand. They don't fit there. They were in a coffee shop for about a year. Before that they were in a facility, then in a coffee shop, and now it's time to move on. So one thing that I talked to them on Thursday. And one thing that they need is just chairs, the simple chairs, something we don't think about much when we come in and sit down in a comfortable AC place. But one thing I want to encourage you to do, if you'd like to buy a chair to help support the church there, it's going to be about $50 per chair. Things are expensive everywhere, and so the chair, they'll be able to set those up, have Bible study, have church in the new facilities. They're signing a contract this week, and they're trying to get me to go down. I don't know how that's going to be for their launch in that new facility, but if you'll pray for Danielle and Andrea. But looking at them and just seeing the process, he is bald, by the way. Did you see that? Did you notice?
I saw. He used to have long rocker hair.
He used to have this real long rocker hair, they are really, really interested and feel a calling of God to reach people that just don't want anything to do with God. And it's been a beautiful thing to see. He wrote me on yesterday and said there's this young family that they've been working with for a couple years, and this young family wrote them a text and said, if it wasn't for what you guys have done with Jesus in our lives, we wouldn't even be together. Now dad is back with mom. Kids now have their father at home. And this has just been the process of the good news of Jesus that does things that nothing else can do. The mystery of the good news of Jesus. So if you would consider buying a chair, $50, you can go to our website. There's a place to give, and it's Vita Ministries. You saw it right there. He's part of Vita Ministries. That's a ministry we started a long time ago. And you can just give to Vita Ministries, and that'll go buy a chair.
So how do they do that?
So go online to the website.
Like, do they scan the QR code, or do they just go to mybethel.cc?
Yeah.
Okay.
And where it says give,
Okay.
one of the categories will be Vita Ministries. You can just choose that, put $50. If you want to buy all the chairs, $20,000. I don't know how much it's going to be. I'm just guessing.
That was random.
Whatever you give will go to them to be able to help them grow and also be deeply rooted in the lives of the people
And
there.
they
in
have a
Orizaba.
surprise, which I think it's a surprise we're not supposed to tell, but you don't know them.
Hopefully you don't translate it, so.
She just found out she was pregnant. Super surprised. So they're
Yeah,
going to
third
have
one's
another
on the way.
baby.
Yeah.
So
Told them another little girl probably on the way.
so they're excited about that.
Just think about them because both their parents are in another country, in Costa Rica. They're living where it's hard to get to their parents, grandparents of the little kids. And so they're truly living a life that's just whatever God wants. And it's a beautiful thing to see generational and see what God does just through the good news of Jesus, sharing the good news of Jesus. Also, just wanted to give you a heads up, next year, the church in Costa Rica will be 20 years old. This little Bible study we started a church in 2007, and it's going to be 20 years old, and we want to invite you on a trip if you'd like to go see the ministry next May or June, and we'll give you more details, but be thinking about it, and if that's something God calls you to do, to go see the ministry firsthand, see the fruit of why we send missionaries, why we partner with people around the world, we'd invite you to come with us, and it'd be great to go celebrate with them 20 years of sharing the good news.